So we're going to learn what a function is, and a function, as you can see from the definition I have here, is something that assigns exactly one output to each input. And although you may not be familiar with the definition of function, you have for sure used a function before. One example of a function is a key to your house. The key that you have to your house only opens your house. The input is the key, the output is the lock on your front door. It's really essential that your house key is a function because if it wasn't a function, that means your house key, your input, could open multiple houses. Can you imagine how bad it would be if a house key could open not only your house, but a whole bunch of other houses? Imagine if someone else's house key could open their house, but then could also open your house. You wouldn't want that. So it's important that our house key is a function. Another example would be if you have a debit card for your bank account. When you spend money with your debit card, it takes money out of your bank account and only your bank account. So your card is the input and your bank account is the output. Your card spends money only from your bank account. If somebody else's card was linked to their bank account and also your bank account, that means they could spend your money with their bank card. That would not be a function, and you can see why that would be a problem if somebody else could spend your money. So each input only goes to one output. Each bank card only goes to one bank account. Each house key only goes to one house. Now it's okay to have multiple inputs that go to the same output. For example, I have a key to my house, and my wife also has a key that goes to the same house. So we each have our own key, we each have an input that both go to the same output. Two keys go to the same house. That's okay. It's okay for her key and my key to both open the same house because we live in the same house. That is still a function. That is still okay. Same thing with the bank card. We each have our own bank card, so we each have our own input, and those inputs go to the same output. We spend money from the same account. Sometimes, to my dismay, she is able to spend money from our shared bank account. So a function, each input only has one output, but it's totally fine for us to have multiple inputs going to the same output. Now, there's several different ways that we can represent a function. And the first one we're going to look at here is something called a mapping diagram. And a mapping diagram has the inputs on the left side and the outputs on the right side. And then we just draw arrows from the input to the output. So let's take a look at this very first mapping diagram. And we've got the input of 1 drawn to the output of 2. So if we think of our example of a house key, this is key number 1 opening house number 2. No problem there. We have one key opening one house, one input going to one output. Totally fine. Then we've got 3 going to 8. Again, one input going to one output. House key number 3 opening house number 8. Totally fine. And then finally we have 7 going to 6, one input assigned to one output. Key number 7 opening house number 6. Every input is going to exactly one output. This is a function. Let's look at our second mapping diagram. This one has 0 going to 1. Totally fine. An input going to one output. But then we have a problem. We have number 2 going to 4 and 5. So we have one input, input number 2, going to 2 different outputs. 2 goes to 4 and 2 goes to 5. So we have one input that is assigned to 2 different outputs. This is house key number 2, my house key, opening 2 different houses. It opens house number 4 and it opens house number 5. And if I have a key that opens two different houses, that's a problem. It means I can get into my house and I can also get into your house. That is not a function. You do not want somebody else's key being able to open your house. So this second example, not a function. Okay, because we have one input, that input number 2, that is going to two different outputs. Number 2 is going to 4 and it's going to 5.